Sodium is a metal. It has one electron in its outer shell to give away. When it bonds with a nonmetal, the electron will be transferred from the metal to the nonmetal. Say chlorine. Chlorine wants one electron in the outer shell, so sodium's electron will move to chlorine. This forms an ionic bond. You have a cation, which is sodium, and you have an anion, which is chlorine. Cations are positively charged, anions are negatively charged. Let's say you have a nonmetal bonded to another nonmetal. Nonmetals like to gain electrons. Carbon wants 4 more electrons to have its octet filled. Oxygen wants 2 electrons. So between the two, all of its valence electrons will be shared between the two atoms. This is called a covalent bond. 2 valence shells being shared. Another covalent bond is water, H2O. Hydrogen wants 2 electrons in its outer shell because its first energy level is only filled, so it doesn't want 8. Oxygen wants 8, so they will share the electrons between hydrogen and oxygen. Oxygen has a higher electronegativity. That means that it attracts electrons better than hydrogen, so the electrons will not be shared equally. It is called a polar covalent bond. Lewis structures. Lewis structures show valence electrons for each element. Let's say we have nitrogen. Nitrogen is in group 15, so we're going to show 5 valence electrons around nitrogen. We represent this with dots. Magnesium is in group 2. That means that there's 2 valence electrons in its outer shell, so we draw 2 dots. Xenon is in group 18. It is a noble gas, so it has a filled outer shell. We draw 8 dots. VSEPR, valence shell electron pair repulsion. H2O, the Lewis structure you can see right there, 2 lone pairs. The lone pairs and the bonds will repel, forming a bent shape. SO3, 3 bonds, no lone pairs, they will repel to form trigonal planar. CH4, they all will repel to form a tetrahedral shape. HCl, 2 atoms, it'll just be a linear shape. NH3, 3 atoms, 1 lone pair, trigonal pyramidal. To review, a bent shape, lone pair on the central atom will bend it, and then linear, just 2 atoms, and then trigonal pyramidal, 1 lone pair on the central atom, four atoms on the central atom, no lone pairs, tetrahedral shape. Then 3 pairs, 3 atoms on the central atom, trigonal planar. To figure that out, you count the number of electron clouds, bond atoms, lone pairs, and then you'll discover what shape it is. For trigonal pyramidal, there's 4 electron clouds, 1 lone pair. For a bent, could be 2 lone pairs, 2 atoms on the central atom, and then it's bent shape. In trigonal planar, no lone pairs on the central atom, 3 electron clouds, then you get 1 plane trigonal. Bent, if there's 1 lone pair on the central atom, then you can have a bent shape as well. And linear, no lone pairs on the central atom, could be 3 atoms bonded together or just 2 atoms bonded together. This concludes the tutorial. Study hard!